What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your Empire season 5 episode 9. They're calling it the fall finale. Anyway, we ain't gonna go down that road. Now let me say this to you. I've been rolling with Empire all season, right? This episode didn't really. I don't really like where this is going. I don't really. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I ain't crazy about this storyline. I ain't crazy about where this stuff is going. Let's just go on and jump into this thing, okay? So, we pick up where we left off. Bella's got the gun, and they're trying to get the gun from her. And, she's a little girl, and she's got all these adults yelling at her. And so now she's starting to think. They're not yelling at her, but they're like, give me the gun, give me the gun, give me the... Everybody's telling her to give them the gun. And finally, Lucia says, everybody be quiet. Just be quiet. Because you could see that she was starting to, now she's starting to think, what did I do wrong? They're mad at me. And he was like, look. And so Hakeem starts singing to her. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And he starts walking very slowly. Very slowly. And he gets to her and he gets the gun from her. Excuse me. And then we see Tiana and Cookie talking. And we got Lucius and Hakeem. And basically Cookie is telling Tiana, look. This is on us. Because we kept trying to sell this dream to y'all. We kept trying to, we was making our lifestyle sound so Bonnie and Clyde, so romantic. Ride or die. I'm here for my man. She said, look, it ain't no ride or die. She said, people change, people evolve. She said, and you do what you got to do for your family. You do what you got to do to take care of your kids and take care of your family and yourself. She said, and Hakeem, he'll just have to catch up. But what you can't do, don't buy into this whole fantasy. If this is not going to work for you, basically, she's saying, look, I'm giving you my blessing to leave my son the hell alone if he can't get his shit together. On the other side, we see Lucius talking to Hakeem, and he's basically saying the same thing to him, just in a different way. He's saying, look, I raised y'all with this whole mindset of staying strapped, staying ready. He said, and I grew up that way, but I did it so that hopefully y'all wouldn't have to. But what ended up happening was all my sons got blood on their hands except for you. So you have an opportunity to not fall into the curse or not fall into this trap that all of us have fallen into. He said, so you need to really let this shit go. Stop playing gangster. And go be the daggone Ivy League, whatever kid that I raised you to be. And of course, Hakeem walks off in a huff. He tried to walk away while Lucius was still talking to him. Lucius had to remind him who the hell daddy was. But, they ran off. So then we see Cookie and Lucius later on that night in bed, and Lucius like, so what were we arguing about? Cookie said, look, after what just happened tonight, I ain't about to sit here and argue with you over no damn apartment. Like, I ain't about to do it. It's a 4-bedroom condo. This is the address. It is what it is. She said, look, at the end of the day, I love you. That's not in question. But at the end of the day, we don't have no money, and I need to make sure that we had a fallback plan. And he said, oh, so our love is about money? She said, look, love don't pay no bills. I love you, but it don't pay no bills. So at the end of the day, we need to make this showcase a success so that we can continue to bring in revenue. She said, because until we can build this family business we just started, this management company, until we can build it to where it needs to be, we all need some insurance. We all need a little insurance behind us. Now, on the other side, we see Kai and Jamal. Kai's working on the story. He finishes up the story. It's going to drop, right? Boom. But then we got Giselle and Kingsley on the other end. Giselle basically blackmailing him like, look, either you make me CEO of Empire or the whole world about to know about Lucius Lyon's latest cub. First she said youngest cub, and he had to remind her, I'm the oldest. He is the oldest. So he agrees to make her co-CEO. He said, look, I got some things in place. There's some landmines out there that you have no idea where they are or how to avoid them. So for right now, it needs to be the two of us together, because I'm telling you now, you're going to need my help. I've already put some stuff in place, and you don't even know what's out there. So she agrees to it. She said, okay, we're going to temporarily do this, and we're going to see how this works. So the next day, the story drops, right? The story drops, and of course, Lucius and Cookie and everybody, the whole Lions crew, they happy. They're like, this is it. This is the last nail in that coffin. Boom, it's about to be on. Over at Empire, of course, Giselle is like, what? That's the wrong time for you to be the CEO, baby, because now your name is attached to it now because you in it. And of course, the head of the company, old boy, he shows up. He said, "We losing. Our stock is dropping. We losing it. Sponsors like this is a shit show, and I need to know how this went down." And of course, Kingsley is like, "I don't know who did it, but I'm gonna find out, and I'm gonna bring their head to you on a silver platter, bitch." And Jeff know who did it. Not Jeff, but the head of the company. He knows Kingsley. So Giselle takes charge. She shows it, she's like, we got to do this for damage control. We got to do this, boom, boom, boom. In the meantime, and in between time, Kingsley comes up with his own plan. What's his plan? Pass the buck. Who does he pass the buck to? He frames Becky. Becky gets fired, gets walked out of there, right? Now, I thought, because I was thinking last week, there's nowhere in the world that somebody like a Kingsley, as tech savvy as he is and as paranoid as he is, does not have his office wired. You're not going to tell me there aren't cameras in his office. You're not going to tell me he don't know what's going on in his office. So I thought he had actually found footage of Becky putting the key into the computer. But no, he really just blackmailed. I mean, he set her up. He falsified some emails and made it look like her and Lucius was in cahoots and that her and Lucius set this up. All right, we'll get back to that. On the other side, Andre then got Quincy out of jail with a full pardon, but now he's starting to back off a little bit. And him and Lucius end up having a conversation, and Lucius says, look, don't be afraid. Basically, don't be afraid to fall in love again. Andre was like, but I'm dangerous. Basically, I'm a dangerous guy. I got this illness, I got this sickness, I got this anger in me. It's not good. And it's not a good thing that's going on. And I don't, everything I touch just seems to turn to shit, and I just don't want to bring that to them. And Lucius was like, look, what you need to do, you need to be happy. You need to be happy. And you can't be afraid to take that chance. You can't be afraid to put yourself out there and find love again. And so Andre takes heed to his words, and he ends up going over there to the Quincy mama then took him to the beach. She told him, anything you want to do, he's fresh out of jail. Anything you want to do. He wanted hot dogs and to go to the beach. It's the middle of winter, but, when you don't have something and you've been locked up, like all of that. So Andre shows up, and he explains that to her. He said, the last time I was at the beach was to say goodbye to my wife. He said, and you need to understand, I really care about you, and I really want to, want you in my life. He said, but I'm a dangerous man. And she said, I understand. She said, not to me. I don't see you that way. He said, you may not see me that way, but I need you to understand that if you agree, that basically, if you're going to ride or die with me, you got to understand what that means. Like, you got to understand how serious that is, ride or die with me. And she was like, I really want to be with you. So, they end up kissing and stuff. Now, I kept waiting because Quincy conveniently went off to go get something to drink. Now, what I was waiting for was for Quincy to walk up on them and be mad, either react one way or the other. Either be like, I knew y'all was hooking her up, all along, and I'm happy for you, or how could you do this to my mama? Like, I was waiting for, but that never happened. They kissed, boom. All right, we at the showcase. Well, not the showcase. We at the rehearsal for the showcase. Cookie stressing out. She cussing everybody out, doing what Cookie do. Jamal whining because he want to sing his love song to his boyfriend, fiance. And Cookie was like, look, it's a beautiful song, but it ain't no showstopper. Like, we don't need ballads. We need stuff that's going to get people out their seat. Like, they trying to do the choreography. Everybody got 2 left feet. They can't get the choreography right. Hakeem is a no-show. Mario going to talk back to Cookie, talking about something. Well, where's Hakeem? He decided not to show up. She was like, excuse me? You going to tell me, excuse me? Why you worried about somebody else? You worry about yourself. She said, see, that's wrong with you old celibates. Y'all backed up. Cookie just don't give a fuck what come out her mouth. She'd have told the whole damn world this man is celibate. Talking about something. That's what's wrong with you. You got all this pent up energy you don't know what to do with. Just get your ass. You learn the choreography. But she doing what she do. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know how Cookie is. Cookie gonna get it together because people dropping lights and it's a shit show. You know what I mean? But that's how rehearsals are before stuff goes down. There's stuff going on and there's stuff all over the place. But Cookie, you know, she says to Lucius, she said, now look, do I have your full attention now that Kingsley is out the way? We done took care of him. Everybody's, you know, over at Empire is chaos and they losing sponsorships and all this is going on. Now do I have your focus on this showcase? Because all that don't matter if this showcase is a flop. He was like, you got me. I'm here. Boom. Right here. Got you. Boom. Hakeem goes to Tiana because he's a no-show at the rehearsal, but he goes to Tiana. And they basically agree that maybe they aren't good together. Maybe they don't need to be together right now, but they need to be there for their kids, you know. But then Hakeem sort of kind of leans in. I thought he was leaning in to hug her, but I guess she thought he was leaning in to kiss her. But my thing is, y'all just had a whole conversation about how y'all don't need to be together. And she says, Hakeem, I just can't do this. I just can't do this right now. But he does apologize. And she's like, I know you're sorry, but I just can't live like this anymore. So I was like, damn, you can't even hug the man? Because he wasn't trying to, I didn't feel like he was trying to, like, do nothing more than just do a little embrace. But whatever, though. But, you know, sometimes you got to do that. You got to go, sometimes you just got to go cold turkey. You can't do the back and forth. It's got to be all or nothing. So Lucius and Andre are talking about how everything is falling into place. Empire's losing sponsorships left and right. Lucius said people been calling him all day, you know, trying to get in with the Family Lines management. You know, like everybody's now Lucius is back on top because they're like, oh shit, look at what Empire's doing. Oh, I didn't get to more detail. So the more detail we found out when Kai found out that they were data mining, they were selling the data. They weren't just, you know, everybody sells your data, right? You buy something from one company and then that company sells your information to another company, and then that's why you start getting all these emails or phone calls from another company that you like, how they know I was looking? I know one time I went on a website I was looking for new windows for my house. I went on one website looking about, you know, one company. I promise y'all for the next 2 months I had people calling me about windows. I said, if y'all don't stop calling me about these down with the one website, you know what I mean? So that happens all the time. But what made it worse is that Kingsley was selling the data to the police, which in turn was allowing the police to run people's information, find out if they had warrants, to profile them, you know, all that type of stuff, to track people. So that's where the big outrage was. Selling data is not that big of a deal. Because that's what I was thinking last week. I was like, well, people sell data. But they were selling the data to the police. And that's what, you know, Becky was like, not the po-po, right? Like, that's what just blew it out of the water. Especially considering, not to go too racial, but especially considering the type of clientele that was probably using Empire streaming system. They probably not the kind of people that be hanging out with the police. You know what I'm saying? Not all of them. Y'all know what I'm saying, though. I ain't saying everybody listen to rap is a criminal. That's not what I'm saying. So when Hakeem left with Tiana, you know what I'm talking about, Tiana, he went to Blake. He told Blake, look, I'm not strapped. You know, I really just came to talk this time. And he tells him, he said, look, I almost lost he said, you know, you told me that you love my kids like your own. He said, and I almost lost my daughter last night. And, you know, I just need to talk, you know. And so they talked. He told him what was going on and everything. And, you know, Blake told him, he said, look, man, he said, nothing ever went down between me and Tatiana. He said, maybe I let the whole diss record thing go too far. He said, but nothing went down with us. He said, and, you know, I can't take it back. You know, I can't take the diss record back, but anything I could do to help. And then Hakeem just kind of gave him that look. I said, okay, so Blake is going to join up with Lions Family Management. Like, you can see that one written on the wall. But, okay, we'll get there. So, the day of the showcase rolls around. Becky gets fired. I already told y'all that. I'm out of order, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. But Becky gets fired. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The lawyer. What's his name? Why I can't think of that man's name? The lawyer. He goes to tell Lucius what's going on. Lucius goes off. I didn't understand why Lucius reacted the way he did. Lucius went off. No, you ain't going. I ain't never been no snitch. I ain't never dropped a dime on nobody. I didn't understand how Becky getting fired equal you dropped a dime. Like, I didn't understand. I Lucius going off the way he went off, I didn't understand it. I just didn't. Next thing you know, Lucius shows up down to the Empire. Giselle and Kingsley were talking, and Lucius just starts whooping Kingsley's ass. I mean, whooping his ass. The only thing that stopped him was that Giselle finally said, Lucius, stop, that's your son. That's what, like, up until that point, the episode was like, okay, all right, yeah. That was the part where I was like, what the fuck? How did we get here? Like, I didn't understand that, all that snaking through. I didn't understand the connection. I really didn't get it. I didn't understand Lucius's response because, dang it. It was just there. It was just there, and I lost it. Anyway, the lawyer even said, Lucius, you got to take care of the showcase. And he was like, man, forget the showcase. I got to go handle this business. And he was like, what? Like, Becky already fired. Waiting until after the showcase ain't going to change nothing. Like, I just didn't understand what that response was about. Maybe y'all can explain it in them comments. Maybe I missed something. Maybe my mind just wasn't there. I didn't understand Becky getting fired. You knew she was set up. You knew it was a lie. You knew that's not how, you knew, and he even said, damn it, it's gonna hurt me that I can't remember the lawyer's name, but he even told Lucius, I got this, I'm gonna handle it because I owe Becky, like, I'm gonna take care of it. I just need you to know what's going on. Anyway, so Lucius runs off, and now he missed the beginning of the damn showcase because he over there beating up Kingsley. I'll get back to them. While all that's going on, Kai, he shows up backstage talking to Jamal. He said, I've been getting phone calls all day. I got new informants coming to me, and they told me about, Lucius keeping a dossier on all his artists and, anything from drug charges to domestic violence and how he buried all that information for his artists. That's news? That's a story? What head of music, sports, entertainment, actor, whatever, who didn't have a dossier on their roster? Barry Gordy had one. The Warner Brothers had it. Like, I'm not understanding why that was a story. Kai was like, yeah, and Jamal was like, okay. And Jamal even said that. He was like, oh, okay, you got to understand that was the climate of the time. Like, that's, Lucius, that's what he did. He protected his artists. And Kai gonna say, but what about the victims? And I'm not saying that the victims aren't important, but I just, again, they lost me with that because I was like, why is this a story? This isn't a story. And, Jamal was like, well, you search through all them dossiers, I'm in there too. They hid my drug abuse. They didn't let that get out in the public. Like, I'm somebody that they took care of too. And he was like, look, with everything going on right now, my family just doesn't need any negative press. Like, we don't need it. And Kai was like, so you asking me to lie? Jamal was like, I'm just asking you not to run the story. Like, because it's really not a big story. Like, again, if I read a story about a head of a record label who had a dossier on his clients, on his, the people signed to his label, and he made stuff go away, I'd be like, okay. Okay. Now, unless you got a murder up in there, it just wouldn't move me no kind of way. But anyway, so Kai and Jamal kind of sort of get into it. And Jamal is like, look, I'm not asking. He said, I don't do lies, Jamal. I'm here because of a half lie because, the person he got HIV from lied to him and didn't tell him he had it or whatever. He said, so, I can't do that. And he said, and if I do, I'm going to end up resenting you, and I'm going to hate myself because I'm not being true to who I am. He said, and Jamal was like, I ain't asking you to do all that. I'm just asking you, you know what I mean? And so Kai was like, well, look, I'll hold off on the story. But I also think that I need some time to really reevaluate our story. Jamal was like, what the fuck you talking about? And so basically he was like, look, I got a job offer in London. I'm going to go check it out. And Jamal was like, okay. Because remember, Jamal has every intention of moving back to London. So he ain't tripping off of that. He like, all right, cool. I'll be there in 6 months. He was like, no, I just think I need some time. So he basically broke up with Jamal. So Jamal was just like, what does that mean for us? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? And he basically broke up with Jamal, which honey, I just thought that was stupid too. So the showcase starts. Cookie can't get in touch with Lucius because she don't know Lucius over at Empire whooping Kingsley's ass. She starts the showcase off. And of course, what do they start off with? They start off with the song that started all this shit with Tatiana, Blake, and Hakeem. But they, of course, perform it all together. They perform the song together. And it was nice. Don't get me wrong. It was a nice performance. They look good and all that good stuff, you know. Now, let's go back over here to Empire. Where we left off was Lucius whooping Kingsley's ass and Giselle stopping him, telling him that's his son. And, of course, Lucius was like, what the fuck you talking about? So she said, that's your son. That's Tracy's son. You remember Tracy, you know. Lucius was like, Tracy. So they flash back. They show Lucius knowing Tracy. Basically, Tracy was just somebody he hit it a couple of times with. It wasn't no relationship. It wasn't his girlfriend. It wasn't no big love affair. It was some chick that bought drugs from him, and every once in a while he hit it. So, of course, now Lucius is like, okay, I know who you talking about, but I ain't never, that wasn't. So the next thing you know, I mean, Lucius believes him enough. He knows enough to know that Kingsley thinks that's his father. You know what I'm saying? And so he goes to visit Tracy. Now, Tracy ass ain't said shit all this time. I thought she was in a coma. I thought she was comatose. I didn't think she could talk. Lucius shows up. She has a whole conversation with him. Where she says, you know, she basically tells him this is where, he said, but she said, it don't take but one time. She said, look, you don't have to believe me. If you want to take a blood test, run a blood test. She said, but look at him. And she had a picture of Kingsley. You look at him and you look in his eyes and you tell me that's not your son. And then she started talking about, I knew you would come. I knew you would come back. Lucius was like, look, I don't know what kind of rehab you on. I don't know what your situation is. But that ain't why I'm here. It ain't no, I came back to you. No. You know, I guess he just needs to see for himself and really talk to her, find out what was what. So Lucius left there. He left there with the woman calling after him, you know, all kinds of shit. You know, she being all dramatic. Like I said, I didn't even know the woman could talk. But Lucius left her and he tried to tell Cookie, but by the time he got to the showcase was almost over. Cookie was pissed off at him because she was like, where have you been? You ain't answering my text. I ain't heard from you. What's going on? And he's trying to tell Cookie. Cookie was like, look, whatever you got to say to me, just got to wait till tonight when we get home because we got to finish up this showcase. Lucius was like, okay. So they finish up the showcase. It's triumphant. Cookie says she got deals from Apple, Nike, Live Nation, like all these people, want to get on the Family Lines bandwagon, management team, and all of that. So it was a triumphant night. Everything was cool. Then Giselle walks in. So Lucius tries to cut her off because Lucius thinks Giselle about to drop a dime on the whole situation with Kingsley. Giselle said, look, I got to wait for you to get the keys to the kingdom, She said, all this right here, this showcase, that's cute. But I can get you Empire back. She said, but we got to be co-CEOs. And of course, Cookie like, hell nah. But Lucius listening, because Lucius know at the end of the day, she got some info that, he might not want spoken at that moment. And so, they talking it over. Cookie and Lucius, they kind of weighing their pros and their cons. They trying to figure out the money and all of that. And, Cookie was like, I don't understand why we can't do both. Why can't we have the management team and have our record label? Why can't we manage our artists? And Lucius was like, we ain't got the bandwidth for that. Like, we getting some good offers tonight and everything is sounding good, but we don't have the bandwidth for that. She sold the condo. She got a check for $5 million. He said, you sold the condo? She said, yeah. We good. Let's do this. So they go out on stage. They're triumphant. It's a beautiful night for the Lions family. Who shows up? Kingsley with bruises, looking like he just went 10 rounds with Holyfield, right? Which he did. Lucius whooped his ass. And of course, he tells the whole world the story. He tells the whole world that he's Lucius' son and that Lucius beat his ass and that he said, I really wanted to be a Lions. I was jealous of y'all my whole life. He said, but not after tonight. He said, because tonight, I saw what it was like to be a son of Lucius. And he told him the story about the day his mother took him to meet Lucius. She said she had gone to rehab, gotten clean, and he had they flashed back to her showing up at the house with Kingsley. And she's trying to tell Lucius that Kingsley's his son. Lucius thinks she there to buy some drugs. But by this time, he with Cookie and got kids with Cookie. And she's trying to tell him, like, look, I've been clean. I just got out of rehab, but I got something to tell you. He was like, look, I don't sling out my house. He gives her money, said, look, go see Bunky. I don't sling out my house. You go see Bunky. And he was like, I'm trying to tell you. She's trying to tell you. And he gives her money and basically goes back in the house and slams the door. Like, don't come here no more. So this is what Kingsley sees. And she had been talking it up. I'm going to take you to meet your daddy. You're going to see your daddy today. So, of course, Kingsley was like, fuck him, And that's where that ended. So, of course, Kingsley was like, I'll try my best not to hate you. And I've been jealous my whole life. But, after tonight, I realized, this ain't nothing to be jealous of. And so all of them are standing on stage, all the sons and Cookie. And now everybody looking at Lucius like, say this ain't so. Like, you need to say something. And Lucius was like, because what he gonna say? What he gonna do, deny it? He know it's true. So all the sons end up walking off the stage. Cookie ends up walking off the stage. Lucius standing there by himself. Andre rolls up on Kingsley, and Kingsley was like, what, you gonna beat my ass too? Like, you gonna pick up where your daddy left off? He was like, He said, but I am gonna finish you. And Kingsley says to him, not if I finish you first. Then we flash forward 3 months, because you know how they've been doing this flashback, flash forward thing. So they flash forward 3 months. We see Cookie at the hospital. They're wheeling somebody into the emergency room. We still don't see a face. Lucius tries to talk to Cookie. Cookie's like, get your hands off of me. You can tell that they still ain't right. You know what I'm saying? So then we see who's finally in the hospital. It's Andre. Now, I called that shit too at the beginning of the season. I said, that's got to be Andre in the casket. Because at this point, in my mind, that's when Andre was still in jail. And I didn't expect Andre to get out of jail and actually try to be a productive citizen. I thought Andre had just turned into a killer and was just going to be that. But it ended up, it's Andre. Now, here go my prediction. Now that we know that it's Andre, the fact that it was a closed casket, I'm starting to think that Andre's not really dead. Like, Andre really went to the hospital, whatever. But I'm thinking they might have faked Andre's death. I don't think Andre's really dead. Something has happened. We're going to find out in the spring. Something happened that got them to that point. We got a whole lot of stuff that's still out there playing around. We got the little mystery guy, from the poker game that no Cookie. Like, it's a lot of stuff. The FBI showing up with warrants and stuff. It's a lot of stuff still going on that we don't know about. And I'm wondering if Andre had to disappear. You feel what I'm saying? Anyway, y'all, that was the episode. I talked for a long time about the episode I said I wasn't crazy about, but it was what it was. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Peace.